Hi, me again. Just wanted to throw this out there. I'm doing a lot of these today. This is my third one today, and I'm actually up to almost 8 o'clock, so I need to actually get on my real day job. But we actually wanted to get to a StarCraft 2 question, since that's how this all started. Someone who would like to remain anonymous asked me, what is my single best tip for using zerg units? Um, the best discovery that I ever made with Zerglings was was to get meta boost as quickly as possible, and that speed difference is insane. They are very fast, a lot more deadly. And the second part of that tip is early on in the game. And you can get this off against Protoss anytime, against Terrans, before they get too sick with Marines or get Hellions on the board. Rather than attacking their base with your first wave, right click on the gap between their mineral line and their command center, nexus, or hatchery, depending on what you're playing against, and just move there. What happens is if they meet forces on the way, they're going to run past them. Now, if you've got meta boost, you're going to have some survivors no matter what. They're going to make it to the mineral line. That's almost a given. The only way that's not going to happen is if they're at the top of the base and they actually blockade it, or if you have a Terran who's walled off. But even then, it's not a great tragedy yet. Uh, and I'll explain why in a moment. But when you right-click on that mineral line, especially early on, what you're doing is you're not killing any of their combat units. You're killing their drones. And the important part of that is that they're not making any more minerals right now, or Vespane. They have no resources coming in. Now, they may have money in their pocket, but they're not going to be able to do much of anything. Now, even if you don't micro at that point, which is controlling them individually, just really getting into the control situation like I do sometimes, um, even if you don't do that, when they're done, or sometimes even if they just don't see a drone within their range, they'll start hitting the buildings. For that reason, I recommend this as being a little bit more than a harassment step. Uh, what you're doing is you're not open hand slapping them, you're choking the life out of them. Without anything coming in, you really can't make anything. Then they have to think harder about losing units because, well, they can't replace them. It's that simple. Now, my personal latest advent with this is what I call doing a Rikki Tikki Tabi, which is named after the mongoose in the Kipling novel. The concept behind it is you rally point somewhere near their base, not in their base, near their base, and you wait for them to attack. And when they attack, you rush in. At that point, you get clear, uncontested pathway straight to their nexus or whatever, and they have to turn around and come back. Now, this is especially effective in playing against the artificial intelligence in the cooperative game. The reason being is because you just killed someone's economy. Now, when they turn around and they walk back to kill you, you still have meta boost. You still have tons of speed. You're pretty much the fastest unit on the board at that point. They're not going to catch you. So what you do, well, what I do at this point is I circle around them and then run to the other base if I'm playing cooperative because there's two opponents. Well, at this point, if I get their drones as well, then no one has any money. Now, once all my Zerglings are dead, they're going to start coming back at me again. But I've had that time to make more. And I can just do the same thing again. I'm actually working with Mark, my partner, on it, and we've actually harassed very hard on the very hard level, the penultimate level. We've harassed it to death in less than 11 minutes before in a 2 versus AI game. This is a really big thing, and I actually discovered this from playing with one of my other friends, Josh. Um, I had problems early on with Zerglings, but I wasn't getting that meta boost because I thought of it as an optional. It is so much different. It is so much more effective, and it is really really a game changer. Another person asked me, where do you go to get tips on strategies and whatnot? Well, I don't. I need to preface this with I don't agree with a lot of the build orders, and I don't agree with a lot of strategies because a lot of these strategies that are put forward in the build orders are to fight against a person. And to build up for contingencies. Now, although that's a good thing, it's really not what I do. I do it to get inspiration and ideas. Um, and where I go is there's a gentleman. I'll put his YouTube and his new website because he's starting up a website now. It's Force Strategies. His code name is Force in the game, and he's actually really good. He gives good commentary. He tells you why he recommends what he recommends, which is really important to get that component and that understanding so you can adapt it to your style. And he's starting a website where it's no longer StarCraft 2 strategies alone. He's also starting up some Diablo as well. So if you find that interesting, I'll go ahead and put those links up for you in connection with this video. But with Zerglings, you just got to remember you have to play toward, no matter what you're playing with, play to your strengths. And if you're playing Zerg, the first units that you can get out are Zerglings. And if you can make them mega fast, then you can really twist the game around at that point. You become vicious. Your strengths are that you produce fast and you can make extremely speedy units. And when I play Zerg, that's one of the key things that I do. And I think that the concept of if you leave your base, I'm going to go in and jack it up. Well, that's fun. That's good to do. And even if they leave, like if you're playing against a person and they're smart enough to leave half their force in their base, well, that's wonderful. You only have to fight half their force, and a lot of times, all things being equal, you can eat them because you're going with an early unit. You didn't need to tech up that much. You only needed 100 gas all day, and by the time they can even turn around and come back, if you time it right, you can make them walk all the way back, which can add up to a minute to the time when you're up there just eating everything. So that would be my single best Zerg tip. That's the one that I'm working with right now. Another thing to remember is that Zerglings, because they are at the base of the tech tree, you can actually stack them out with evolution chambers. You can get a hive and all the way up. Yeah, well, I'm trying to remember what the highest one is. Anyway, if you tech all the way up, you can actually get a attack increase for them, which makes them deranged, just freaking deranged. Play them for a little while like that with the meta boost, getting the meta boost. Even if you do a 10 pool, hold off on that attack. Just accumulate them and get meta boost. When you get meta boost, you will know where that money went. It cost you the same minerals as it was two sets of Zerglings, which would be four, and 100 Vespane. And if you're playing in a cooperative and someone you're playing with is going for a gas intensive build, say, hey, give me 100. It's 50 seconds in the game and it really doesn't impact anything that much. Give it a shot. I think you'll be happy with the results. The other thing that you have to remember is it took them up to that point to get that many drones because the computer's constantly carrying those out because it needs those resources. It likes to build a lot. So you just crippled them. And if you attack at like 5 minutes, that's a bad time to get crippled. So give that a shot. And if you have any further questions on it or comments, let me know. I'll be more than happy to go over it with you. If I didn't cover it or you think that's a shit tip, let me know. Okay? And keep on gaming with that. And by the way, standard tips for StarCraft: study other people's stuff, watch your own replays, and if at all possible, partner up with a friend. Even if you're playing against other people, sparring up with a friend can be fun. Uh, that being said, stop by exoticenvy.com. They're our sponsor. Check out their stuff. They got a huge selection. It's like 1,000 items. And the prices are really, really low. So have a great day and keep gaming.